to another episode of the Current Review. And my name is Tebogo Kotsi, aka TK. I'm Pizza Debza, and I'm always with my colleague Thamsanqa, aka Mr. TT. But unfortunately, he's not here because due to other commitments. And with the Current Review, we're always bringing you interesting news, especially when it comes to current affairs and what's going on within your area, within the Free State, what new developments. And in the past few weeks, we did cover so many things, especially leading to the elections, and had a conversation with different political parties. And on the 29th, you guys went to the voting polls and you made your mark, you made your decision. And that came as a very interesting way, if I may say so, because the 2024 elections, marking 30 years of democracy, were quite interesting. We saw the ANC nationally coming out with just over 40% or 41%, I'm not sure. And in the Free State, the ANC did quite well. It was above 50% mark. And yeah, we've been hearing conversations of a coalition government, or others, they call it a government of all nations. Different political parties will be included in the governance, of which I have my own opinion when it comes to that. I can say there is the pros and the cons we can touch on, but I'm not going to focus on that today because right now we'll be focusing more on a very interesting process that needs to follow after the elections. We all know that after the elections, the Chief Justice Zondo was handed over the names of all the people that are going to legislature in terms of parliament. And these are the people that will be governing us. They'll be making decisions for our behalf as South Africans in terms of where we're going in the next coming 5 years. And today we're going to be having a conversation with Mr. Life Mokone from the Free State Legislature. And he's going to be touching more in terms of the processes, what's going to happen, because we know legislature has to open. And if I'm correct, this coming Friday, we will be opening up our Free State Legislature, and Mr. Life will be giving us the process in terms of what we can expect, what's going on, and maybe he might even give us names. Who knows? Because we know candidates for premiership have been going for interviews. We saw on social media how they've been clocking in. So we'll quite hear. But Mr. Life, how are you, my brother?
I'm good, my brother, and thank you very much for having me, and greetings to your viewers as well.
Thank you. Tell me something. When people are going through the process of elections, were you guys on leave? What happened to legislature? Did you guys close, or are you still in operational?
We're a public institution. We've been operational throughout. The only difference is that there are areas in which from time to time the speaker communicates with the secretary to the legislature in order to effect what we call a recess period. So during a recess period, we work according to reduced time frames, whereby instead of coming in at 8, we come in at 9, although knocking off at the same time. So, yeah, and precisely because the congestion of the program of the legislature is reduced during that period, members of the legislature who are the principals are most of the time on the ground doing their constituency work. And so those are the people who actually makes the legislature to tick. However, the administration work continues. There are a number of things that happen during that period as per normal in terms of different sections of the legislature. That work continues as normal.
Oh, that's very nice. Now, we all heard for I think it's today where there's going to be a first sitting of the National Parliament, whereby members have to go into Parliament and they need to start nominating or electing the president. But now we're going to focus more in the Free State Legislature. What is the next process now that it's after elections, and what's happening with legislature?
You would be aware that the Chief Justice handed over the list of members who have been elected as a result of the outcome of elections to the Secretary to Parliament. That happened concurrently because secretaries of different provincial legislatures were also in attendance and have also received say. So we now know what is the structure of the legislature. We now know which parties are represented in the Free State legislature, and that is why we are busy preparing for our first sitting of the 7th Provincial Administration.
So tell me, how many seats does our legislature actually consist of, and how are they divided amongst the parties right now?
The Free State legislature has 30 seats. You'd know that the seats are allocated to legislatures according to population count. So I think our population stands at around 2.9 million, almost 3 million as we speak. As you have been aware that the ANC stood at around 50%, 52% in actual fact, which gave it about 16 seats in the legislature, followed by the Democratic Alliance with 7 seats. Democratic Alliance gained 1 seat. The EFF is steady at 4 seats. And the Freedom Front Plus is steady at 1 seat. The new kids on the block is the MK Party and ACT, both of which have got 1 seat. So that gives you the 30 allocation of seats in the provincial legislature.
Okay. So now, in terms of the opening of our legislature in the Free State, what is the process that legislature actually, now that you've received the list of political parties and list, what can we expect? And when are you opening the legislature?
The authority for determination of dates for the first sitting of the 7th Provincial Administration, in terms of the Constitution, Section 110 of the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa of 1996, lies with the Judge President. You would know that this works according to jurisdiction. So the Judge President would have been designated by the Chief Justice to make a determination of date, of which he has already done by publishing the notice on the Provincial Gazette on the 10th of June 2024, stipulating that the first sitting of the Free State Legislature will take place on the 14th of June 2024, which is the coming Friday. And the work that we are currently doing is to ensure that we comply with that determination.
And then in with that regards, tell me something. What's going to happen in terms of nominating the premiers and the speaker and all that? How is that process going to run?
The Chief Justice presides over the sworn in of all members as item number 1 of the procedure, and in terms of the rules of the Free State Legislature, and in line with the Constitution. And that will be followed by the election of the Speaker, election of the Deputy Speaker, and the election of the Premier. So the Constitution does indicate that whoever is presiding in this case, it will be the indication that we have received will be the Judge President, Honorable CJ Musi, as you may be aware. So that long and short is the process.
And then, okay, when it comes to the transparency, because when you talk about electing premier and electing people that are going to be speaking and actually governing for the next coming 5 years, how's the transparency process? Is the public going to be made aware in terms of how the nomination is going to run? Or is it something that you guys do it internally and you don't involve the public?
No, I think Section 118 of the Constitution provides that sittings of the legislature should be conducted in full view of the public, unless otherwise stipulated that any session of the House can be a closed session. So these kind of sessions are always open to the public, and we make arrangements for members of the public to attend the sittings. We make further arrangements to ensure that those who are able to attend will have access to the proceedings through our platforms. We normally provide live streaming of the sittings of the legislature. Other than that, we provide access to different media houses to be able to cover the event. So if you are subscribing with any other media platform, you will have access to the proceedings. You would know that the chamber of the fourth Ratsal takes about 200 people, as I said, and 30 members. So as per normal, we will invite a portion of that 200 will constitute of a portion of members of the public, particularly those who would have been identified by political parties who have won seats in the House, and the different stakeholders like your Chapter 9 and 10, your different departments, the municipality wherein the sitting takes place. Like in this case, we have Mangaung, you'd have your mayors, you'd have House of Traditional Leaders. Number of stakeholders would be invited, taking into consideration the allocation of space in the chamber of the fourth Ratsal. So yes, there is a lot of transparency. When it comes to nominations, you would be aware that as the Judge President will be presiding over the process, members of the Free State Legislature will be able to nominate the Speaker according to their party line. And that process is normally undertaken openly by show of hands, or else by secret ballot. That determination would be made by the Judge President as he unpacks the rules of the first sitting of the legislature.
And last question. The current executive of the province, I thought after elections or just before elections, they are out of office, but I'm still seeing, you still find the executive that are still roaming around and saying they are MECs and the speaker is still there. How does that process work? Is it until the last day where the judge decides the first sitting, that's when they lose their titles? How does that work for a member of public who doesn't understand?
Members remain in office until, when you talk about the executive, remain in office until the province has new members of the executive. You'd understand that it will be an invitation of chaos if you have a situation where institutions of government would not have leadership. Anything can happen between that period of vacuum. So yes, we will know soon enough once the premier is appointed. You can then conclude that that period until he appoints members of the executive, especially those who are coming back, and then you know that you do not have the executive at all.
Mm-hmm. And I hope with this new 7th administration, we'll see some invites, because the past ones were not invited at these sittings. So I'm hoping this year something different will come out from this one. And any closing remarks from your side?
As I said, we invite different stakeholders. We actually ensure that we invite all stakeholders. I don't know, when you say we were not invited, you mean the media?
Well, media, we always having these challenges in terms of getting space, but in terms of access to information, we do get. But the public also, I speak on behalf of the public, because majority of public, they want to attend these things, but they don't know in terms of how to get invites, how to participate, and all that. So these are things that we also try to speak on behalf of those that are actually voiceless.
Okay. Well, I think that it's okay if you do acknowledge that the information is being provided. That's the kind of feedback that we really appreciate. As you may know, let me make an example for this kind of a sitting. The access for media is at the first come first serve basis, and that is why we provide, or we insist on, members of the media having to RSVP at a certain time, because there's no enough space in the chamber of the fourth Ratsal. Normally, when we take out our sittings out of the fourth Ratsal, like at Vista or in other districts where we can extract them a key, we've got an unlimited seats. But for the purpose of security, we still need members of the media to confirm their attendance. But we normally do not limit the attendance of the media to the sittings. When it comes to members of the public, we've got a unit that is responsible for public participation, and they use the public participation framework, which is guiding them on how to ensure that members of the media from different districts are always, actually members of the public from different districts are always involved in the activities of the Free State Legislature.
No, that's very nice. So, Mr. Life Mokone, since now your work is starting to begin, I wish you all the best. And without saying much, thank you very much for availing yourself. And hopefully we'll get to have a conversation also after the first sitting, so that you can also give us the lowdowns in terms of what went down, so that our public also stay tuned and stay informed.
Thank you very much. I hope I assisted.
No, you have. Thank you very much. And ladies and gentlemen, that is Mr. Life Mokone from the Free State Legislature. And you all heard, for the 7th administration is about to come into office. So stay tuned. Check your social media platforms. Like, subscribe to Central News. You'll stay informed for as much as you can. And without wasting very much, we are going to get into another second leg of interviews. And let me take this break and say thank you